And now the boys on the hill. It's just Ralph Jeezy today, y'all. And we have a special guest. We have the head coach from Savannah State University, Coach Carlton Hardy. And I want to welcome Coach Hardy to the show. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Ralph. How you doing this morning? I'm doing
I'm,
well.
I'm doing good. I just want to thank you for coming on with us. Um, been following you all season. Just been a big fan of you all. You've gained a fan in me for your program, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Um, just want to get into it this morning. Coach, right now they're in the midst of a 12-game win streak this season, which is the longest in Division II baseball. They're 27-6 with an incredible record of 23-1 in conference in the SIC. They head into a non-conference game this afternoon with Voorhees College before not a doubleheader, with a weekend series that they will have with Edward Waters this weekend. Coach, just give us a little. How do you feel your season is going so far?
Um, the record indicates that we're doing well. The coach in me still feels like there's things that we need to work on. I honestly feel we haven't played our A game yet, but we're finding ways to win. The kids are competing tremendously. They're having fun, and that's half the battle there.
All right, so I noticed that you all transitioned back from Division One, from the MEAC in 2019. How is that transition back down from Division One back to D2? How is that kind of transition the program after you've been there for all those years and you transition back down? How has that helped or hindered the program in any way?
I don't think it's hindered it. I believe the alums um, of when the school was in the SIAC, so our alums during that time, they enjoyed the competition or the teams that we
Okay,
play in the conference. Most of my player, actually all of my players that are on the current roster, were not Division One players. They've all been
okay,
Division Two. So I don't think it's affected them that much. We get a chance to play baseball. The kids get a chance to attend a historic university, get a great education, and have fun while doing it.
okay. Now, you've been at Savannah State since 2006. How
Yes,
did
sir.
you get how did you get to Savannah? Can you give us some of your backstory, Coach?
Good question. So I'm working in Michigan at a Division III school called Olivet College,
Okay,
um, and I have in-laws who are in Birmingham, Alabama. And I believe 2005, it really hit me. We drove down with my son, who was I think 3 or 4 at the time, and we have no family in Michigan. And so when
okay,
we drove down to Birmingham and spent Thanksgiving week, about 3 or 4 days with the in law and the family, um, I just saw the joy in my wife's eyes. I saw the joy in my son's eyes, my father in law, mother in law, that they enjoyed having us down there. And I said, well, I need to try to find a way to get down south. I tell people my profession has led me on a journey from Louisiana to Michigan, Alabama, and now down to Georgia. And I was fortunate that a gentleman who was with Black College Baseball, I can't think of his name off the top of his head, but he's originally from Coppin State. He
okay,
informed me that, hey, they may be making a decision. I put my name in a hat, and I was fortunate that Tony O'Neill, the AD at the time, and the president hired me. And every year, everyone is like, "Well, when are you leaving? When are you leaving?" My family's here. We're enjoying ourselves. We love the city of Savannah. And during that time, I was fortunate that I got the job. I arrived January 4th, and our first game was January 27th, 2006. And so
wow,
I had about 2 or 3 weeks to try to get a team going, and I think we had some success that first year. And Savannah State is always known um, to have success in baseball, so it's just me trying to extend what's the word I want to use? Extend the ability to compete at a high level here at Savannah State.
Okay. So since you've been at Savannah, I just want to go back to some of those MEAC days. What was it like competing in the MEAC against some of
Competitive,
those good FAMU and Bethune and Coppin State teams?
competitive. Really good conference at the time. We would have loved to stay in it. However, we're happy where we are now in the SIAC. Um, every weekend playing against those teams, both home and away. Good coaching, competitive atmosphere, a lot of fan support. Really good baseball in the MEAC.
Yeah, and I think that gets overshadowed now because they only have 4 teams in. But North and with A&T leaving, it also kind of affected them a little bit. But I had a high school. He wasn't my teammate. He was older than me, but he actually played at Howard.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first experience with the MEAC. Because traditionally I'm from Mississippi, so a lot of guys from my hometown have played at Alcorn, Jackson State, Valley. So when he went to the MEAC, that was like new exposure for all of us
Mhm.
from a small town in the Mississippi Delta, and that kind of gave me the mindset to say, okay, kind of branch out a little bit to
Yeah.
see what else is out there.
hmm
Yeah, so yeah, so going into the season with the team that you have, what was your mindset when you went into building this team this year, Coach?
Um, my mindset every year is that we're going to try to get the best student athletes we can and coaching them up the best we can. Our philosophy is that we want to be strong pitching and defense. That's since I've been coaching. Um, that if we can, throw strikes and make plays on defense, we give ourselves a great chance to be successful. As I tell our hitters, hitters hit. So with the scholarship numbers the way they are, we target most of our resources in the pitching. And then we've been fortunate. I don't want to get into numbers, but we've been fortunate with the guys in our lineup. They have been consistently swinging the bat pretty much from day one. And things are starting to come together. I see a different atmosphere in practice. Again, kids are enjoying themselves, they're enjoying each other, they're spending more time with each other. Um, and our motto is just to go 1-0 every day.
Right. Yeah, I will agree with you, Coach. You have 3 dynamic starters on the weekend. I had the opportunity to see 2 of them pitch. I haven't had a chance to see Mr. Showalter, but I was really impressed with Mr. Santiago, Mr. Pillar. Um, how did you? I know people always say, "Well, how did you find those guys, Coach?"
Um, I've been in the business for a while, and I know some people. COVID kind of limited us with going out and recruit, and so a couple of friends of mine gave me some heads up on some kids, and I had an opportunity to go down there and see them play. Um, and Rico's been with us for a good little while since he's been here, so I know every year we go into the season. How many wins do we have returning? We didn't have a lot, but all of these young men that are in our staff are younger guys, so they have
Okay,
a good year or 2 years left if I don't lose them to the draft.
gotcha, gotcha. Now your lineup is deep, Coach. You start off at the top with Joe Smith, next to Champion, down to Cameron, Mr. Franklin, Gabriel. How how do you try to keep all of those guys just like in the frame of mindset to just go out there and compete every day and just keep them humble and not over, the emotional roller coaster with baseball, with the
Correct.
highs and the lows? How do you just try to keep everybody with the success that you've been having just to keep them hungry and focused?
We try to stay consistent with our approach. Things we do in practice, we work on all aspects of hitting. I tell them it doesn't matter the weather, the other guy on the mound. We can always find ways to score runs. It's not about getting hits; it's about touching home plate. In the process of touching home plate, these guys have swung the bat pretty well. Um, I think it's a competition amongst themselves because everyone is trying to help the team and also do better than the other guy. Here I'm talking about like, hey, I banged out 3 hits. Well, then I got to get 3 hits the next day. All right, I got 2 RBIs. Well, I have to get 2 RBIs. And I think everyone really, really just they love each other. They like being around each other, and they like playing with each other. And I think that's manifested itself in the record that we currently have.
That's wonderful, Coach. Um, I'm kind of jumping around on my questions because my brain kind of worked like that. I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask, but I'm a baseball guy and I'm a parent as well.
Mm-hmm.
If my son is interested in Savannah State, what's the recruiting pitch, Coach?
Um, Good question. So I have a real long one and I have a real short one. I'll try to give you the short version. I can talk about baseball all day, and that's what I tell every recruit that walks into the office or I have a chance to speak to. Um, you know, I'm a player's coach. I'm not that far removed from actually being in the seat that they're in. You're going to come in here and get a quality education, and we're going to coach baseball. So I always tell the guys, like, you know, me, it's about practice. That's what I live for. That's what I wake up in the morning for. I was so excited to that you invited me onto your podcast. That even though we had a game later on this afternoon, I wanted to get in here and log on and have an opportunity to speak to you and actually speak to all your subscribers that watch your podcast. And hopefully, we'll get more people involved because I'm going to definitely spread the word about what you're doing here for Black College Baseball. Um, that we're gonna coach you hard in practice. But if you ever had an opportunity to see us play, you wouldn't know I was a head coach. And I tell them because it's not about me; it's about you guys. It's about me instilling some type of discipline, the things that I think are going to make you successful, the tools that I'll try to put in your toolbox, and then try to coach you up when to use your tools. And what do I mean by that? Everyone hits or everyone swings the bat. We teach them how to hit, how to move guys over, how to drag bunt, push bunt, hit and run, drive guys in from third, less than 2 outs. Pitching, not necessarily develop certain pitches, but how to attack hitters, what to look for, and then we allow you during the course of the game to actually showcase your skills. Um, and so it's worked out pretty well for the my career, and it's working well with this current team here.
Like, well, we know the show is about baseball, Coach, but we're going to also give you the opportunity to promote the academics of Savannah State. What are some of the academic programs that are offered?
We have numerous academic programs. Some of our signature academic programs is Homeland Security.
Okay.
Marine biology is really big. Um, our business department is they encourage students to dress a certain way on Wednesdays. So I'll have young men who will come into the locker room and they'll have a suit on, and or they'll hang a suit up in their locker. When they get out of the practice at 6 o'clock, they have to go to class, but they have to dress a certain way to attend class. I think that's really impressive. The student to teacher ratio is about 15 to 1. We actually have professors teaching the class, so we don't have students teaching the class. Um, our kids do well in the classroom. It's mandatory that they do well in the classroom, and I actually handle our own study hall for our program, and some different things that the young men have to do. Uh, One thing that impresses me about the young men who attend Savannah State, their first year they're required to be in study hall. And they have to do so many hours and meet with me so many times. And if they reach a certain GPA, they can become exempt. Well, what impresses me a year after they finish, even juniors and seniors, they'll periodically come in a study hall, and I'm like, hey, you're exempt. Like, well, no, this is a good place that I can, get my work in, and so that's great. The young guys see that older guys, it's not like a punishment. This is actually something that's going to help you be successful in your 4 or 5 years here at the university. So I think what we're doing here is good with the direction of our president, Dr. Ballard, and our athletics director, Mr. Opio Mashariki, allowing me the opportunity to mentor these young men, the parents out there, allowing me the opportunity to take care of their young men while they're here at Savannah State with me and the coaching staff. Um, we're excited. I think, again, get a quality education here. And I tell you, you're going to become a champion, whether it be on the field or in the classroom.
I like that statement, Coach. Of you're gonna be a champion whether it's on the field in the classroom. Me also being an HBCU alum, that part of it was big for us as well. Do you feel like you more of being in HBCUs? Sometimes I feel like it's more family oriented than just it being about the athletics or the sports. When it comes to the teams, do you feel like sometimes you have a role as a father sometimes to your players, or
I
does
do.
it kind of just organically develop?
Um, it, it develops, but when they walk in from day one, I have some people out in the community. You're a baseball coach, so you practice at 3 o'clock. So what do you do up until 3 o'clock? Uh, so I'm a father figure. I'm a fireman. I have to put out so many fires a day. I'm a counselor. I'm a director of operations. I'm a finance manager. I'm a relationship expert. There's so many different things that a head coach at a black college must, I don't want to use the word phrase deal with, because it's not dealing with, because this is something I love that we encounter, that we impact the young men's lives every day. And it's not just on a baseball field at 3 o'clock for us. Um, my phone stays on. I do have kids. I have a young man in college now, but it stays on. And I tell people, hey, call me anytime. You call me at 10 o'clock at night, but my phone stays on. It's not on vibrate, because I have to answer that phone call, because I have to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for the young man that I am in charge of, making sure, as they tell their parents, they're away from home. I'm going to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do to be successful, both on and off the field. Specifically off the field, because I think on the field will take care of itself. That's the one reasons why they came to Savannah State. Um, so, I mean, just it's just all of the above. It's just something that I'm in charge of doing. I love doing it. Again, I wake up in the morning, I see the phone, I get nervous. Anytime my phone rings after 9 o'clock, I get nervous, because like, oh, what
Mhm.
happened? What happened? But sometimes the kids just want to talk, and I have to be there for them, and I love to be there for them, and that's every kid that's walked in my program. I feel so much joy when I get messages from 4 or 5 years later. There's a young man who just texted me. Um, I coached him about 7 years ago, and he just became a partner in a law firm. He has 2 kids. He's married, some other stuff, and he texted me. It's just out of the blue, and thanked me for the things I did for him while he was in school. He said he didn't understand it, but now that he's a father, he's taken some of the phrases, some of the things that we've done here at Savannah State, and he's transitioned that to his life out in quote quote real world. I mean, that touched me more than winning a game, a conference championship. That message that he sent me.
Well, you answered my next question because that was I was just about to ask you. With it, does seeing those type of examples from the young men that years later coming back, saying how much you've impacted their life? Um, wow, you answered the question already, Coach.
Man, okay.
Um, Playing in the SIAC, um, can you give us like a little bit deeper insight into the conference as a whole?
Um, I tell people all the time, it when you're playing a conference game, it's a little bit different than playing a non-conference game. I don't care if you're playing a number one team in the country. If we go out and play one of the members of our conference, especially at their place, it's going to be a hostile environment. A hostile environment that they're going to have supporters out there supporting the team, regardless of their record. And it's not just family members, it's their peers on campus, it's the fraternities, it's the sororities. Um, in basketball, the band comes out. They don't necessarily come out for baseball games, but we do have band members that come to our baseball game. They're not. They don't bring their instruments, but they're to support their fellow students. And I'm pretty sure it happens at other places we play within the conference. And every game is a challenge, and every game I'm nervous. Regardless of the record, it's a conference game. It's us against you, and may the best man win. And then after, we're gonna, appreciate that brotherhood, and shake and dap guys up and wish them the best, and come back either the next day or move on to the next weekend or play another conference opponent. But I think the conference as a whole is really competitive, and again, every team we play. I know some people look at the scores of games, but I think you have to be there to see how competitive the programs, top to bottom, are in the SIEC.
Gotcha, gotcha. Jess, can you give us some of the guys on your team this year that have kind of stood out for you all?
That is a awesome question. So, a lot of people look at the they can go on the internet, they can go on a web page, they can look at a box score, and they'll see that, oh, and you mentioned some names, the Joe Smiths and the DJ Franklins, the Champion Robbins, the Gabriel Paxot, the Andre Wrights, and our three starting pitchers, and they see all the things that they're doing. But you know, the things that are not recognized, we had an injury. Um, our third baseman Philip Wooler um, had an injury. He was out for 2 or 3 weeks, and so now what do? It's your arguably your best defensive player. He's a fifth year senior. He's your number five hitter. He's batting 400 at the time. What do? Well, we bring up a redshirt freshman and we plug him in, and he's able to hold the fort while Phil's out. Now, the challenging thing for me as a coach is that the young man did not do anything that would warn him to go back to being a reserve. But I think that's the depth that we have. He allowed us to still be successful. Some of the guys in our bullpen, names I can, and the young man I mentioned, Desmore Joseph, our backup catcher, Omar Almodovar. We had a couple of catchers that wasn't able to stay with us, and so Omar catches every bullpen. He gets a chance to play periodically, but if he doesn't catch the bullpens, then our pitchers can't get ready to play in a game. So I think he needs to be recognized. Some of our outfielders, and these are guys who are reserve guys that, I'm a backup from the outfielders, but some of our pitchers who haven't had an opportunity to pitch as much because our starters have done so well. Well, when we don't have game midweek, we'll either play a simulated game or play a scrimmage, and we'll have those guys pitch. So throughout the course of the week, our guys can get live ABs. They don't have to wait an entire week before they face another pitcher. I think that makes us so much better. And so names I can run off, and I have to put on my glasses. Um, I appreciate the Jordan Lees of the world, the Luke Sanders. These are all freshmen that don't get an opportunity to play as much. The Gerald Toledo's, the Ricky McLeod's. He's a senior actually. The Matthew Hendersons. The work that they do behind the scenes, in other words, not in the games, helps us make us a better ball club because of the sacrifices that they're making to be a part of the team and to be a part of a team that's having some success.
Right. My hat off to those unsung heroes, coach, because it does take everyone playing their part. in the preparation to get prepared for a game. So big ups to those young men. Is it what one team in the conference, whenever you match up against them, you know you got to bring your A game?
I would say Savannah State.
Okay,
Every time we step on the field, we're competing against, and I and I don't mean to be facetious, um, and I don't mean to be a smart aleck, but we compete against ourselves more than we compete. I tell the guys like, hey, we're not playing against a team with a name on a shirt on the front or the back. We go play the game, and we
gotcha,
win the first pitch, we win the first out, we win an inning, and then we'll look at the end result later. So I'm more of a process guy. It's not necessarily if we take care of the business that we need to take care of. It's that if we go respect the game, run a hard 90, play the game hard, that's the biggest competition for us. And if we do that as many times as we possibly can, we're going to give ourselves a chance to be successful.
gotcha, gotcha. So, what road trip do you look forward to the most? Whether it's for the scenery, the environment, the restaurants, the hotel.
Um, so we're new to the I'm new to the SIAC.
Okay,
My number one road trip is to leave the office and go home and see the family.
understand that, coach.
Um, we're new, so it's a lot of trips we've taken that are new. Some are longer than others, and so at this time, I can't say which one I appreciate the most. I would say the one I would definitely appreciate the most is on the way back from the NCAA World Series with a championship trophy in my lap.
Hey, coach, that's an outstanding answer. I like that. I'm a big guy when it comes to national championships. I believe in that. Being in HBCUs, they talk about the HBCU national championships all the time, and it's also a HBCU World Series that you all participated in. What was that experience like?
I think it was a great experience for the kids. Uh, what Mr. Coker and Black College Nines, again, what they're doing for Black College baseball, I hope that grows. Uh, I'd like to see a preseason tournament to get some other teams involved or get more teams involved that may not have a chance to play in the postseason, but they can get recognized in the preseason because it's a lot of good baseball out there. Some teams have more baseball players than others, but every team we've played, I've looked at, I said, man, that young man is pretty good, or that young man, or uh, in a couple of years, that team, if they stay together, they're going to be really competitive, and that's a couple of teams in our conference.
Wow. So if I'm a freshman, a senior in high school, how do I contact you to give you my information to start the recruiting process?
Great question. Email me at hardysc@savannahstate.edu. If you have some film available, send the film. If you have an opportunity to attend one of our camps, I encourage you to do that. Our next camp is June the 6th, I believe. That's a Sunday, the Sunday before Father's Day. Um, get in front of myself and our coaches. Let us evaluate you, and we can kind of go from there. And make sure that you're staying above reproach academically and socially.
And for this generation, coach, what does that exactly mean?
What does that mean academically? I tell guys, it- so it's kind of tough. So parents are like, "Oh, we don't have any money," and I said, "Well, there's ways to pay for school outside of an athletic scholarship. Academics is one. So I try to catch them in the ninth grade, 10th grade. If I can have an email conversation or some high school coaches pass along the message like, hey, do not wait till your senior year to try to improve your grades. uh, do them as soon as possible so that you can have an opportunity. I told my daughter, I said, and, 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 and not to brag about my daughter, she's a straight A student going into her second year of high school. So she's a second semester sophomore. I said, and now she's starting to get some letters from some university. I said, well, if you keep up your GPA, your options are going to be so much more. But if your GPA drops, you're going to limit your options. And that's what I would tell a student athlete. Keep your options open by doing what you're supposed to do in the classroom. What we mean socially, this is what I do. I'll go out and watch you play, and I want to see you at least 2 or 3 times, if possible. Um, and I want to get there early because I want to see, when do you arrive? Are you one of the first ones? Or you arrive when everyone else? Or are you one of the last ones? Um, and then I'm trying to find students in the stands because I'm going to ask them, like, so who's the best player out here? And if you're not in the top three of the people they mention, I have to question, why am I here? Because your peers know who's the best. And then I'll ask some questions like, oh, so Dave is one of the best guys? Oh, okay. Does he go to class all the time? Oh, yeah, he's always in a classroom. He's in the library or he's always partying, or he's always hanging out and doing something. That's a check for me. That's, I can possibly check you off the list, because I tell guys, like, if you're doing that in high school, you can't bring it here because I'm not going to accept it. So, you know, enjoy yourself, but you want to be characterized as a young man who's a hard worker, who takes care of the business in the classroom, and doesn't get into trouble off the field. That's what we want here at Savannah State. And then I'm going to try to help mold you to become a better man. I think, again, baseball will take care of itself. But once you leave me, that you're going to be able to make a significant contribution in your community because of the experiences you've had here at Savannah State.
Man, that's wonderful, coach. I'm just excited to just even have the opportunity with you. It's just, I'm a big fan of HBCU baseball because of so much of what it's done for my life and the opportunities it's given me, and it still provide me opportunities because I'm here talking to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, I don't want to end. It's 1,000 questions I can ask you, but I know you have to get prepared. You have your daily tasks that you have, and you also have a game to get prepared for.
I tell you this, Ralph. This is the number one thing on my agenda right now. So the biggest thing I'm concerned about right now is to make sure I have an opportunity to speak to you and to
Okay.
speak to your audience. So fire away with questions that you have.
All right. So now you are a SWAC alum, a
Yes, sir.
Grambling State, an all conference SWAC player from your time at Grambling State. How did your time at Grambling State playing for Coach Ellis shape you into who you are today?
Oh man. So Coach Ellis, I still speak to him periodically. My son actually attends schools there.
Okay.
He tells me Coach Ellis, when he sees him, stops him periodically to talk about me when I played and my experience there. Some of the things that I still do coaching wise is a direct reflection of the experiences I had with Coach Ellis. Um, I mean, just that time. So you had the Cadors of the world at Southern, and the Coach Ellis at Grambling, and the experiences that I experienced. Like when we travel and we travel overnight, our guys must wear a shirt and tie. Now I don't do the jackets because finances are not available, but I get that from Coach Ellis. Um, when we, I'll make a joke, and this was what Coach Ellis would say all the time. Um, some younger guys or some guys are on the borderline of making a road trip. Hey, I like honey buns and Diet Pepsi. Uh, you bring that, you'll give yourself a chance to make a team. Just we used to have guys sit in the stands during games to go track foul balls. Now we don't do that here at Savannah State, but I will reward you for going to get foul balls. If you've done enough offensively in practice, I'll reward you with an opportunity to get a chance to swing the bat just because you've played a role in regards to going to get foul balls for us. So, some of those things I've taken to from Coach Ellis, not just rewarding the guys who are putting up numbers day in and day out, the people behind the scenes. That, I had a young man a couple years ago. We have to pull our batting turtle off the field on the field, and we have to maneuver it in a gate. And he was like the best driver of that batting turtle I've ever seen in my life. And the crazy thing is, when he wasn't at practice, he was late, he had class, he had an internship. We struggled pulling that turtle on and off. I rewarded him in games and gave him an inning, gave him an opportunity to get an out because of the role that he played for us. And so, again, it's not. I tell guys all the time, everyone can't be LeBron James. Someone has to be that guy in the corner that can knock down shots. And so I'm not only looking for the LeBron James of the world. I'm looking for the guy in that corner that can knock down that shot, or the guy that'll be the first guy off the bench to hand the guy a towel or dap a guy up coming off the field. I think that makes a complete team, and that's what I took from Coach Ellis.
Wow. What was some of your who were some of the just best players that you played against in college?
Whew, man, Southern had a bunch. Jackson State had a bunch. The names. So there was a guy at Southern. I don't know his name, but they called him Cat Eye. He was a pitcher. He threw the ball extremely well. He was one of their top pitchers. A couple of guys at Jackson State. One of the guys when I was with the Phillies, he was a year above me. I can't remember his name, but I think he was a Player of the Year. Um, Actually, in a year I thought I should have got it, but he won it. Um, so, you know, I'm a young guy, but I'm an old guy. So you're
Yes.
talking about 88 to 91. Um, I don't know the names, but I can tell you this, Ralph. This is a funny story. If you go back to any SWAC school, whether it be Jackson, Grambling, Southern, Prairie View, Texas Southern, and you ask them about Carlton Hardy today, I'm pretty sure they'll have a story about what I did at Grambling.
Okay. I know a couple of the old Jackson State guys. I'm gonna go ask about you.
All right, all right.
I'm gonna go ask, but knowing what those guys, what ability level was, I can only imagine what the talent was like during that time in the SWAT.
Oh man, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough. Jackson State they were tough. Southern was, that was our rivalry. They were tough. Texas Southern going down to play in McGregor Park. They had some Latino guys on that squad, um, and I don't. It took me a couple of years of Spanish 101 and 102 to figure out what they were saying, but they're tr- they're saying in their language, the location of the catcher, and we couldn't figure out how they knew what pitch was coming and where we
Linya,
were setting
Linya.
up. They had ways, and I was like, oh man, that's tough. But a lot of things I learned playing in the SWAT.
That's great, coach.
Mhm.
So we're gonna transition back to your team now in the present. You all have a big series coming up with Albany State. I'm not jumping ahead. I'm not jumping the Edward Waters series, and I'm not jumping the Voorhees series. But you all seem like you've been on the collision path all season for a big series. I think we I'm gonna talk to the boys. We're gonna do our best to be there.
Okay.
But yeah, how do you feel like that Albany State team has been since you've been in the SIAC?
Um, they have a history. I think Coach does a really good job with his program. Um, Beautiful facilities. They play the game the right way. They play the game hard. It's going to be a challenge like no other. Um, Again, we're not looking ahead because our motto is to go 1-0. So we're thinking about Voorhees today.
Right.
And when we get to Albany State week, our whole focus will be on Albany State. But it's going to be a challenge, and I think again every game we play is a challenge, and we look forward to the opportunity of facing off against Albany State at our place on Friday, April 22nd, and on Saturday,
Okay.
April 23rd for a
23rd.
three-game series.
Yeah. So Benedict College has a young man that is absolutely terrorizing the base pass. What is the challenge in playing not only against that young man but Benedict College team as a whole, because they have another young man that has like 50 stolen bases as well.
They're going to keep me up late at night during that week. Um, there's some things that during that specific week, um, that's one of their keys to their offense that we're gonna try to manage it. We're gonna try to control it the best we can. But again, people talk about you mentioned Albany State and now you mentioned Benedict. It's week in and week out. There's a challenge. Every team in the conference brings some type of uh, aspect to the game that you must be prepared for it if you want to have a chance to be successful. So that's the challenge for us, and that's the thing that we're going to work on as a coach staff to get our guys ready for the opportunity to compete against Benedict and some of the astounding records that Coach Young is doing over there at Benedict with his young men.
Yeah. So, Coach, we're gonna end it here.
Okay.
I want to thank you again for the opportunity. I want to thank your SID, Mr. Peabody, Mr. Peacock, um, for the opportunity as well. May have said his name wrong, Joshua. I apologize.
Uh huh.
And it's crazy the way I'm gonna just tell you the story of how even you all even caught my attention.
Okay.
Um, Rico was named the pitcher of the week the first time he was named in conference. So I said, well, let me see Savannah State, because as a freshman at Jackson State, I had the opportunity to play against you all when you
Okay.
all went to me at.
Okay.
So I always knew about Savannah State. I knew about the win streak, and everything. So I clicked on it and I started following Rico on Twitter.
Okay.
So each week I saw you all win a series. I said, okay, let me keep up with them. When are they going to be here to play in Atlanta? And when you all came to Morehouse and played at Gresham Park, I came
Okay.
to the games that weekend and I made contact with Rico. Then I made contact with Jose and then one of your assistant coaches.
Coach
Um,
Bernasette.
yeah, I followed him on Twitter and we started communicating.
Hmm.
And I was talking to him like, hey, man, would y'all be interested in coming on the show to give some insight into y'all program and conference? And we've talked back and forth maybe for like the last 2 weeks. And then he brought up the idea, said, hey, man, I'm going to ask Coach Hart if he want to come on. And I was like, that'd be perfect. And, it all kind of worked out the way it was supposed to work out. And Coach, I just thank you. Um, Again, what we're trying to do is just get as many people to understand what's going on in HBCU baseball. Football gets all the hype,
Right.
but baseball, we are the consistent ones,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
know. And just continue what you're doing, Coach. We're gonna try to give you as much exposure as we can, and we just, hopefully this grows into a beautiful partnership for all of us.
Oh man, most definitely.
So just
Appreciate your time, Ralph Geezy. Is it Jeezy or Geezy?
Jeezy, like
Jeezy.
the rapper,
Ralph Jeezy.
yeah,
Appreciate
Ralph
your time.
Jeezy, yeah,
Appreciate my assistant coaches, Jordan Bernasette, Robert Kraft, and Paul Grubesic, the job they're doing, and giving us an opportunity to come on here and speak about Savannah State and all the wonderful things going on here in Savannah State.
yeah, and I don't think many teams in the country can say that they've had all of their weekend starters be named conference pitcher of the week.
That is true. Let me say this before we go. So there's been opportunities that our guys could have pitched complete games, but they're willing to sacrifice and put up some great numbers. They're willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team because we have bigger goals than just trying to win conference games. And so we have to keep building our bullpen depth. They have to get on the mound and pitch, and guys will make sacrifices to come out the game, and they haven't even reached a certain pitch count. I had a young man who threw 60 pitches last week, and we took him out in the sixth inning. He could have pitched a complete game, giving up one hit,
Wow.
but he understood that. I was saying to myself, man, I could leave you in, and maybe you can compete for a conference pitcher of the week. But he said, Coach, is bigger than that.
Wow.
We're trying to become conference champions, and we understand if we're going to do that, then we need to continue to build the depth in our bullpen. So that sacrifice that young man made, as well as other pitchers on our staff and position players, is what I think makes this a special group.
All right. And before we go, Coach, is there anyone that you want to thank or anything you want to say about your program to everyone listening?
Come out and support Savannah State baseball. Follow us on the web. Follow me on Twitter. Follow our Twitter account at State Savannah. Keep you updated. Everything going on with Savannah State University and Savannah State baseball.
Yes,
And
sir. And I
follow
put
Boys
all
on
of
the
those.
Hill podcast. I'll tell the people that. Follow that also, because they'll let you know what's going on in Black College baseball. And we're a big fan of your podcast, and hopefully you're a big fan of us, and we can build this relationship.
Oh yeah, Coach, most definitely. Most definitely. And to everyone listening, we thank you. Go out and support Coach Hardy in Savannah State. Support HBCU baseball as a whole. Well, no matter where you are, you don't have to be a graduate. Just go out and support. Thank you, Coach. Good luck
Oh man,
today. Keep that
appreciate
win
it.
streak going. Get to 13 games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1-0 today.
I got you, Coach. Appreciate
My man.
you. All right.